Hey everyone, welcome back to Crochet Ring Ring. Today we are going to talk about pockets, journal pockets, pocket folders. Oh my God, ridiculous. Anyway, so I make journals and planners, and just to give a little background, so I have actually physically designed pocket planners, pocket folders, oh my God, and sent them to print, like to an actual print company, for other companies. And I realized that a lot of people don't know how to hand make them. So I figured like I would show you how to make them by hand with like cardstock, your cutter. This is my purple cow cutter. I show this to you because it has a scoring, not a scoring, but a folding scoring thingy. I don't know where my bone folder is. It's missing. If you don't know what a bone folder is, it's like a little piece of plastic that has a point on it, and you score something, and you can make folds easier without creasing. I have a scoring board also. It's from Martha Stewart, but again, the bone folder is missing. Oh, let me go get a planner that I have designed an actual pocket. This is an 8.5 by 11 planner that I sent to a professional print shop. Just so you know that I'm not making this steely deal up. So here's a planner. This is for a friend of mine. It's called the Welcome to Long-Term Care Planner. Huge shout out to my friend Belle. We designed this. This is all her content. If you're a nurse, she's a director of nursing. She has some other stuff out. Check her out. Welcome to Long-Term Care and the DON planner. That's her claim to fame. Anyway, so we made this big ass planner, and inside there is a pocket. Check this out. So see, I designed this pocket, the die cuts, and they inserted it into the planner. See, punched. So this was a relatively easy design. So how this happens with an 8.5 by 11 planner is that obviously you need a bigger sheet than 8.5 by 11 of paper, because it's 8.5 by 11, and then it has a die cut here, and then this fold over piece, this folds over from this folds from the bottom up, so it looks like a kind of like a trapezoid kind of deal to put into the pocket. There is another way to do it with a 12 by 17, 11 by 17, 11, no, not 12 by 17, a much bigger piece of paper, where you can take and you can fold it in half and then fold it up. I don't have any sheets of paper that large to show you really what I mean, but this has a front pocket, same one, and a back pocket, same one. Now that I realize this, maybe the other pocket should have faced the other way, but it's neither here nor there. So just to show you, that's our beautiful tabs too. Anyway, so if you're a nurse or you know a nurse who needs some info, like some cool stuff like that, I'll link that in the description. So for my planners and my notebooks, I usually do like a 6 by 9 or an 8.5 by 11 journal planner dealy deal. This one is 6 by 9. Maybe I should measure it. Let me measure it. It is 8.5 by 5.5. But the total cover size is 6 by 9 because of the over laminate edges. The easiest way to really do this is to take a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock like so. I usually use a piece that's patterned on both sides just because it makes it prettier that way. If you wanted to get super fancy, you could take 2 pieces and adhere them together and you'll have a super thick piece of pocket. We're just going to use 1 piece at the moment. So here is my 12 by 12. This piece of paper is from Papercraft. I got it at the thrift store for the entire book. It was super cheap. I picked up like a dozen paper stacks for like $3 each, which was pretty cheap, you know, because they're like $10 each in the store. Standard cardstock. And I also have my Fiskars Cutter. This is my giantess cutter. I love this cutter. Just so you know, when you create pockets, the easiest way to do this is folding. You really don't need to do any cutting. So here's my 8.5 by 11 sheet. You see this? So what's going to happen is I'm going to fold this in half and fold this up. So it creates, this little edge creates the pocket. And because I want it to sit inside of my journal and not really poke out to the edges, I'm just going to mark off where these pieces are. So you can get the measurement, well, you can see what the measurements are. So 12 by 12, folded in half is 6 inches, right? 6 inches. And I'm going to actually fold this at the 6-inch mark. Use my paper, my purple cow, and it has these awesome little wings. Check that out. If you've never seen a little purple cow, it has these wings that are the rulers. Makes it super easy to be compact. And I'm going to set it 6 inches. 6 inches is in the middle. When you decide to use a piece of paper that's patterned, you know, mind where you start folding, because that's where the pattern will show. So now it's creased. It makes a beautiful crease mark. It's perfectly creased in half. And then I made a tiny little tick mark right here. See where my thumb is? And that means that it is, let's see how far it is. My folds. This is for my pocket, right? It says it's about 3 inches. I'm going to undo this and get a crisper, cleaner fold line here. So at 3 inches for this pocket. Make sure we're straight. And that's going to give us a nice crisp edge. So check it out. Now, the design is either going to be on the inside or the outside. If you want a double-sided pocket, which is what I typically do, I fold mine. This is why I use 2 sides. This is why I use a double-sided page for the design, or you could put like your own little design here. This makes 1 pocket. And then for the journal, so now we're going to see where this journal lines up. I'm going to have to trim just a smidge. See that? I want it to lie inside of my notebook. So we're going to, I'm going to make a little tick mark here and here. This purple cow has like 10 different settings for cutting and trimming and folding issues. So it's going to be a 5.5 by so see how we've made a double-sided pocket? That was the super easiest way to do it. And then I will stick it in my cinch and I will punch my holes to line up with my inside journal. So you can put it on the inside or the outside, but this makes a nice double-sided pocket for that. No gluing involved, which is why I like this method, because there's no gluing involved. For an 8.5 by 11 pocket folder, you need to glue. And what I've run into with the gluing with that is you need pretty strong glue, because double-sided tape is really not that strong. It eventually will fail unless you do some kind of serious industrial adhesive. Similar to what like print companies do, they use a pretty strong glue to hold their pockets together. But they also have a tab, an insert tab to reinforce the pocket. So it's like a fold over, but then there's like a slit, a tiny little slit that folds into it and glues. It gives some reinforcement with that, with the pocket. So again, super easy for a double-sided pocket. So the final measurements for an 8.5 by 11 planner or journal, notebook, dealy deal, is 11 inches wide by 12 inches tall, with a 3-inch pocket fold. To fold in half. So your final pocket will be 5.5 by 8.5 inches for that pocket. Easy peasy. Now for an 8.5 by 11 pocket, this becomes a little bit more tricky. So if you want a pocket for an 8.5 by 11 journal, an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. It's not going, so an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper versus a 12 by 12 piece of paper, you don't get the same fold over pocket, fold under pocket like on a 5.5 by 8.5 page. You'll have this extra business here, but there's not enough to fold over. There's not a lot of papers that come larger than that unless you want to print them yourself. I know I have a template for an 8.5 by 11 pocket or a 9 by 12 pocket. Let me check this out. 8 by 5 pocket. So here is what the pocket looks like when I designed it. And the page size on this is a 10 by 16 page. So you could use an 11 by 17 piece of paper for an 8.5 by 11 single pocket. And just so you can see here, this page has some die lines set up, and die lines are the instructions for cutting this pocket and folding this pocket. So this solid line is the cut line, and this dotted line is the fold line. And then they glue Normally I would put like a glue strip, a line in here so they know where to glue, but they knew where to glue it. So where to glue it at. And then this was just the back print of the page. So you could see it was a double-sided printed piece of paper, and then they trimmed it on their machine. So I set this piece up as the 10 by 16, and then it has an 1/8 of an inch bleed line. And so bleeds are important for when they trim, they print off of the edge of the page. So you can see there's this bleed line here, and then so they print the entire sheet of paper first, and then they send it through with the dies to trim and fold this pocket. This, like I said, this is just the template that I use. So this is what it looks like without the artwork. Very, very simple piece of pocket. So this is saying that, well, I'll just ungroup this so you can see. Oh, where did my pieces go? This pocket piece was 9 inches by 11, so 9 by 11. Oh, because this planner was full size of 9 by 11, including the covers and including the tabs. So the pocket slightly sticks out. It's the same size as the covers. So you can stick full size 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper in there. If it was exactly 8.5 by 11, it would be a very snug fit of inside the pocket. So you want to make sure that your pocket will accommodate your piece of paper. So it's, oh my gosh, it's so hard to do this. So here's an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper inside this 9 by 11 pocket. So you can see how it is giving enough margin for where these coils are, and it sets right inside of this planner. So here would be, and it fits perfect inside of there. I hope that makes sense. So I guess I really can't show you how to do really a bigger piece unless I use 2 sheets. And when you use 2 sheets, when you cut your pocket, it needs to have a glue line on the top, or not on the top, on the bottom and on the side, so it glues into the sheet of paper. So let's say I'm going to cut an 8.5 by 11 pocket. And if your planner is exactly 8.5 by 11, again, that's why I said you should not have it exactly. Make it 9 by, that's why most pocket folders are 9 by 12, like commercially printed pocket folders, business pocket folders, because they need to slip in 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. Let me make sure where my pattern is here. So I'm going to cut this 9 inches. So here's 9, and then I'm going to, so it's 9 inches wide by 11 inches tall. So it's 9 by 11. And then depending on how tall you want your pockets to be, typical pockets are about 4 inches. Let's measure this inside pocket, just to give you an example of an actually formed piece of pocket. So there's my pocket. And then I'm going to measure my pocket. And this pocket is actually 5 inches. So a 5-inch pocket. So that means that here is my 8.5 or 9 by 11. And then I want to make a pocket that's 9 by 5. But remember, we need to include the fold lines. So I need another piece of cardstock. Let me go get some cardstock. It was right here the whole time. So here's my Craftsmart paper pad. It's a really pretty paper pad, isn't it? Black and white, and it has like gold glimmers in it. So we're going to pick. I do not have another piece of that cool black sheet. Take the sheets here. So to cut a piece 5 inches. So actually, we're going to do 5.5 to account for the fold. So it's a 5-inch pocket, but 5.5 inches tall. So 5.5 inches tall, but we're going to include a fold line for the glue. So, and then also for the other fold line for, I don't know who's texting me, for the other side. So if it's 9 inches wide, we're going to make it 9.5 inches wide, just to give it 9.5. I think 1/2 inch is a pretty good fold over glue line. So now I have my pocket. The pocket piece. Let's set that aside. And then we will do the score lines, the folds lines, still on my fold. So we're going to make it a 1/2 inch fold. Here's my thing. And then I'm going to measure on my Papercraft cutter. I do not get any compensation, y'all, for my use of my tools. So that means at the 9-inch mark that I'm measuring to. That's one fold line, and then the 5-inch where I'm measuring to, because I want my 1/2 inch area for folding. So now I have these fold areas, right? To make this piece, this corner piece fold nicer, I'm actually going to trim across it, so it's not so bulky right there in the corner for the fold. Trim up. Cut it on a diagonal at this crisscross mark. And what that does, it gives you a nice folding corner. See how that works? And now it's not so bulky right there. And that gives you your pocket edge. Check it out, check it out. see how that works. Now let's match up my pocket to my page. Depending on how you want your pocket to be, whether it's the inside or the outside, you can line it up. So to reinforce this pocket, you could glue it on the back side, right? If you glue it on the back side, it would be a little bit more secure here for your pocket. If you glue it on the inside, know that unless you secure that very, very gluely, like a very thick glue, your pocket could fail. What you could do on this side, if you don't want your pocket to be shown, is have another piece, the matching piece of paper, and cover it so it looks seamless. It make your pocket like super thick as well. What I tend to do is I actually get a piece of sticker paper and I print my entire sheet of sticker paper after I glue my pocket together. You could sticker paper it. That's if, I guess, if you have a piece of sticker paper that large. I have a printer that prints larger than 8.5 by 11. So you could do that if you have larger sheets of sticker paper. Let's find my glue. This is my fastener box. I have glue all, Eileen's tacky glue. I have spray glue, multi-purpose spray glue. I have painter's tape, especially for like nails. Washi tape. .3D foamies, my glue gun. Regular tape, double-sided tape. Here's some double-sided tape. Don't use the Dollar General tape for. If you want your pockets to hold up, don't use cheap supplies. I have known also to decorate the edges of my pockets with like washi tape just to make the seams prettier. They don't hold up very well because washi is not exactly the strongest tape. E6000, but that makes for a very thick application. I'm trying to find my glue. I also have glue dots. Glue dots are awesome. We'll use Eileen's tacky glue because that's just what I seem to have on hand. This is brand new. When I glue, I don't necessarily like, I wait a couple minutes. I don't like immediately glue. I let it get just a little bit on the tackier side to give it some adhesion. Oh, you couldn't see that. All I did was put glue on there. And then here is my 9 by 11. Oops, touched myself. And then I just line it up If you want to cut tabs, you would have to design the tab to insert into your pocket to create a more durable pocket. So here's my pocket all glued together like that, like so. And then what I do to make my pocket lay flatter is that I stick it under something heavy. So I'm gonna stick it under my computer. This just compresses the folds, and the glue, it keeps it from like bubbling out. That's the pocket. Let's go back and look at my my pocket folder file. As a designer, I use the Adobe Creative Suite for my files. I've used it for a long time. When I went to school, when I was in design school, we were like in the Adobe Creative Suite 2, Adobe 2, or InDesign 2, something like that. To accompany your, not accompany, to accommodate your tabs, like if you want insert tabs, you would need to make sure that you design them in there, right? Maybe I should make a cut file for silhouette. That's what I use. I use the silhouette. I guess you could use it for Cricut. What do you use? SVGs, something like that. We'll just make those black. So where did my lines go? I don't know. So here are my lines, right? And if you think about tabs, if you want to create a tab and insert tab into your pocket, if you were gonna like insert it in, you could take your base sheet, right? So say that's the 9x11 sheet. If you use your 12x12 sheet. So if you use a 12x12 sheet, you would need, let me get another piece here to visualize it in the sense. Oh look, there was a white sheet of that pattern. I'm trying to find this other piece of that pattern. Wherever it went. So if you think about it in this regard, if I have, actually we're going to create a new document file, document new, we'll just say it's an 8.5x11, so 9x11. 10x5x11. Just do 10x11. So we'll do a 10 by 11 just so you can see what I'm doing. Or actually, we'll cut it from a 12 by 12 sheet. So pretend we're designing from a 12 by 12 sheet of paper, right? So here's a piece of 12 by 12 paper. And then we want to make a pocket that's 9 by 11. So the pocket's going to be 9 by 11. Here's a 9 by 11 pocket. And we're going to have, if you trimmed it 9 by 11, we want to have it to have like inserts pieces that like kind of like a dovetail. Does that make sense? Like a dovetail. So they form insert pieces, like tab pieces together. Similarly to how boxes, if you can imagine how boxes slip together, the little cut pieces tab into each other. So 12 by 12. And then so let's pretend, okay, so we have, now we're going to have a 9 by 5 inch pocket. So this is the pocket. So we'll pretend that we're seeing the pocket. So here's the pocket. I'm going to make those lines dashed just so you can see. So here's the pocket. And do I want the back page to insert into the pocket, or do I want the pocket to insert into this page? Those are the design considerations that I need to think about. What I'm going to actually do is I'm going to make the pocket, the page insert into the pocket. So we're going to make this 9.5 inches actually. The pocket page, 9.5 inches. Again, we're cutting this from a 11 by or a 12 by 12 piece of paper. So here is 9.5 by 11 inches tall. And then what I need to do is create tabs. Does that make sense? Tabs that insert into the pocket. So I'm going to make like just little like little rectangles. And you see how here's a 9.5 by 11, and we're going to have like little tabs that tab into this pocket. So that means that in this pocket page, there needs to be trim line, like a little place where you cut into. And I'm just going to make this little area black, just for my thought process here. Other people probably think about this completely different than the way that I think about this in design. This is just like how I think in my head, because I'm not sending this to an actual commercial printer. I'm going to be constructing this myself. So when you think about this, like this piece is actually where I'm going to be cutting a slit mark into my pocket page. So if this is 9 by 5, and I need to make a tab. This tab's actually going to insert into the page like this. Does that make sense? It's going to fold over from this piece and insert in here. Like so, like that. So I'm going to make this back 9 inches. And these will actually become a part of this object. So I'm going to weld them together. So if you see this is what my actual tab page looks like. So this is a 9.5, actually it's just under 9.48 by 11. And then this is the area that I'm going to cut into. So this pocket is going to be 9.5 inches wide as well. Because this piece is going to, I'm going to make this a different color. We'll pretend this pink line is going to be the line that we fold this piece over. So 9.5 is the pocket. And then this pink line is the fold line. So 9.5 fold. Oh, but you know what we forgot? We forgot to the bottom part. So we're going to make that 9.5 by 5.5 inches tall. And we're going to move all of this up into our 12 by 12 sheet of paper. Because this is the pocket. So this pocket is also going to be a trim line here. Does that make sense here? So this is the 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, or 9.5 by 11 that you're cutting from a 12 by 12 piece. We're going to make this actually 2 pages so you can see what I mean. All right, so here is the page that I'm going to cut from a 12 by 12 sheet. You cut it by the edges. I'm going to view a grid here. So here's, pretend like we're looking at a grid of 12 inches. So here's a 12-inch by 12-inch piece of paper. These are 1-inch boxes. So 12 inches, but we're going to cut 9.5 inches with a tab, 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 tab. And then, see, that's what it looks like. And then here is our 5.5 inch, 9.5 by 5.5 inch. And these little black doodads are where we're going to cut the actual slit lines into. All right. From a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. I'm going to save this as And we're actually going to I'm going to make the size. So 9. 9 by 11. Just so we know, for an 8.5 by 11. Imagine what our PDF looks like. I'm going to have 2 little tabs sticking out of the side. And how I'm going to do that is I'm actually going to mark off. So what my 1/2 inch mark is here on my sheet of paper. You can see I've marked off what a 1/2 inch is from here to here for my edges. And then on my template, folder template, I'm going to open this up. I have notches. Let's look at my face. My notches look like little trapezoids. And here you can see, so this is a 12 by 12 piece of paper. Here is the sheet that we're going to cut. And this is the sheet we're going to cut. If you pre-cut these, you could actually probably obviously need to cut them from a 12 by 12, not an 8.5 by 11, because that's not going to work. Which I do a lot of things freehand just because I like to that would work there. Think of my process out loud. How I'm going to do it. No one's going to see this piece here because this is the piece that I'm going to be folding into. I already have my pieces pre-cut, right? My folder, right? Here's my 9 by 11, my 5.5 by 5.5, but I think it's actually bigger than 5.5. 6.5, 6.5. Right? Then I'm going to trim it. I'm going to mark up where my 5.5 mark would be. Just so I know that's where, oh, that's the 5 inch. Actually. That's right. I should have probably gone over a little bit higher. So we're going to do it here and here. And here. And and then I'm going to use my cutter. Check it out. Now I have tabs. And so these tabs are going to fold into my, they're going to fold into my pocket. Like so. See how there? Check that out. And then here is my pocket. Now, if we imagine, my pocket is going to have a fold here and here. So first I am going to do my 1/2 inch. Can you see me? We're gonna score my paper for the fold. Score the inside for the fold. Here we go, is my pocket here. Here we go, is my pocket here. So this is going to be, from my corner to corner. Fold. Now remember, this needs to fold into this piece here to give it a better I'm going to match those up. This is where I'm going to cut my slit marks. I'm going to use my X-Acto knife. If I can find it, or some knife. So now I have little pokey holes, and check it out. These tabs are going to slip into this folder. This little piece of folder, if I can get it in there. Let's see how that works. Now you could also do the same thing for the bottom. However, I did not do that for the bottom. I usually just do it for the inside corners. I did this backwards. We should have cut it on this side because the pattern's on that side. Let's go this way. See how the tabs fit inside of there? That's how you want them to fit inside for your die, for your cut lines here. So they slip right in And this makes a more secure pocket. Than just folding over or gluing your pocket together. There you have it. So here's my pockets inserted to each other. Makes a nice secure pocket. This works better if that was the right pattern on the right side. You could have done the tabs on the bottom as well, and then tabbed it in there when you set your tabs, when you set your pocket together, and it would make it a nice, a very secure pocket when you glue it together. So you would put the glue on, and then insert the tabs, secure it together. I hope that made sense. Did that make sense? While you watched me fumble through it. Let me know if you have any questions, because you probably do. I will put a link to my pocket tabs that you can download the template of how I did that and see how that works for you for the 8.5 by 11 pocket, well, 9 by 11 pocket. And tell me how it goes for you. I hope it made sense. I might go back and like redo this. This was pretty rough, but thanks for roughing it with me. That is all we have for today's edition of Being Crafty with Riri on my Crochet Ray Ray channel. Maybe I should start just another channel, rename the channel. The thoughts of this. I hope you have a great day. Bye, y'all.